Welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about a new 4K release, and this is one that I've had on pre-order for quite a long period of time. This is one of my favorite Martin Scorsese films. It really doesn't need much of an introduction, and that is The Departed, or from where I'm from, The Departed. And this is, in my opinion, one of Martin Scorsese's best films. I put this right up there with like Goodfellas and Mean Streets, After Hours. I really love Martin Scorsese, but this is one of my favorites. It's probably one of my favorites too because it takes place in Boston, and even Providence is name dropped a few times. I'm from Rhode Island. I spent a lot of time in Massachusetts, and so seeing this movie and hearing all those accents kind of brings me back. And I just love the story of this movie. There's so many twists and turns. The acting in it is incredible. The script is fantastic. I really love this movie. And Leo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin, Vera Farmiga, everybody in this movie is just so fantastic. Martin Sheen is just stupendous in this movie, even though he's a smaller role. He plays such a great part, as he always does. And this is the new 4K version of the film that just came out this week. And I ended up getting the steelbook of it. And just to talk about the steelbook packaging itself, I really love that it's a matte finish. Again, I love these matte finish steelbooks. They are just so nice. They don't load up with fingerprints when you touch them. And the design, I mean, hats off to whoever at Warner Brothers was in charge of the design, because the X thing is great. And if you've seen this movie, there's a lot of symbolism with X's in this film, and they really went all in on the X thing. And I'm glad that they actually have like acknowledged that that's a thing in the movie. I love that. I absolutely love that. And the back of it has this like, almost looks like an etching into the steel of the rats. And this is exactly like the little drawing that Jack Nicholson does in that scene where he's in his little bar or restaurant, whatever it is, and he's drawing on like a placemat or something, and he's drawing like rats, and it's such a great little touch. The inside here, as you're going to see, there's the photos of the main actors in the film, and the disc even has that X motif. And I really love that. I think it was really great, and that back is a really nice touch. So love the packaging here. Now, as for the disc itself, there are a few things I think people are going to find maybe a little distressing about this 4K disc. And one of them is the fact that the 4K, the movie itself on the 4K, is a 2K upscale. And, I haven't actually, I don't think I've reviewed a 2K upscale on this channel in a while. Most of them are 4K digital intermediates. But this is a 2K upscale. And I know some people are saying, oh, it's not true 4K, it's not true 4K. Well, you're watching it in 4K. So to me, the 2K upscale, it really depends on the film. Would I have liked to have a all-new 4K digital intermediate of this? Yes, I think that would have been good to have that as a source, but a 2K upscale to 4K is not always a bad thing if it's done right. And I'll talk more about the picture quality in a minute. The disc only has HDR10, so there's no Dolby Vision, although the digital code that comes with this does redeem with Dolby Vision on the digital copy. So I have not watched that digital copy yet, just the disc. And, again, that's kind of a weird thing, but Warner Brothers tends to only use Dolby Vision in very particular releases. So, again, it's just HDR10. And as you saw, it's only one disc. It's just the one 4K disc with the movie and a few special features, and that's it. And I know a lot of people were hoping for an upgraded Blu-ray. That is not happening with this. It's just a one disc set and a digital copy. That's it. So I know those things are going to be distressing. But today I'm going to be talking about the picture quality, the audio quality, and the special features, because there actually is one new special feature that's included on the 4K disc. So to jump right in on it, the picture quality on this disc is very solid. I actually really enjoyed the look of The Departed in 4K. I think it looked really good. And even though it's just the 2K upscale, the movie is very representative of the original look of the film. And I did get to see this in a theater when it came out, and it reminded me of the look the movie had on the big screen in the theater. And I have to say, the original look of the film is intact on this 4K disc. It's definitely an improvement over the previous Blu-ray, which I think is now probably over 15 years old. And the black levels on the disc have been massively improved, and you can see it right from the get-go of the film. The first scene where Jack Nicholson is introduced and he's doing his voiceover, and you see him kind of like in shadow, he looks a lot spookier now. And his reveal when he steps out from the shadow and says, what's the difference? That shot is now much more effective than it was previously. And the black levels throughout, the darker scenes, the nighttime scenes, the shadow details now look so much better than they did before. And overall, the detail level of the film is improved. It's not a gigantic, massive improvement, but you can definitely see details on faces and clothing that you could not see before. Film grain is completely intact, and it's not heavy at all. It's a very light film grain, but it is there throughout the movie, and it doesn't affect the experience at all. But I'm glad they kept a light amount of film grain in there, and the movie does have a much higher detail level because of it. So good for Warner Brothers for not just using digital noise reduction and wiping out everything. It looks very, very good. And because of that HDR10, I mentioned the black levels earlier, but not only does the HDR10 help with that, but it definitely gives the movie an improvement in colors throughout. Skin tones are very natural. They look very solid throughout. I didn't notice any variations in like shades of colors. The color palette of the film is intact. This movie is a very natural type of color palette. The only scene that's really vivid looking, you could say, is that scene where Jack Nicholson is at the opera with the two women, and it has that like bright pinkish red background behind him, and he looks like the devil himself in that scene. And that shot there with that pinkish red background just totally blew me away. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. But the rest of the movie does have a pretty plain, natural looking color palette, and they kept that intact. But the biggest improvement, I would say, is just shades of colors throughout. Uniforms near the beginning of the film, the blue Massachusetts State Police uniforms definitely look the proper shade of blue now. I have seen those uniforms before, and they look like that in real life. So that was a nice touch. Just colors throughout just look very, very accurate. And I think accuracy was really what they were going for this transfer. And from what I've read, Thelma Schoonmaker and Martin Scorsese were both involved in this 4K transfer. And I gotta say, they did a good job with it. Warner Brothers overall did a very good job with it, and I had no issues with the picture at all. It's not a gigantic improvement over the Blu-ray, but it is an improvement in a very good way. So for what it is, I appreciate it, and it's a phenomenal movie that's just made even better by this 4K disc. Do I wish That it was a native 4K transfer, yeah, I really wish it was. But for what it is, it's totally good. It's fine. It worked for me. It looks great. No issues with pretty much anything throughout the film. Now, for the audio quality on this, this guy does come with a DTS HD 5.1 master audio. Now, the audio track on the previous Blu-ray was a 5.1 uncompressed audio track. And for this one here, it's basically identical. It's a very good audio track. I did have to bump up the volume a little bit for the dialogue. The sound effects were amazing sounding. The music in this sounds awesome. And again, the music in Scorsese's movies are always just A1, just primo. But in this one here, for some reason, the dialogue just seemed a little quieter. And so I did have to bump up the volume a little bit. It's probably the only negative I really have for the audio. Everything else sounded great. It's on par with that uncompressed audio track, but man, that audio track on that previous Blu-ray was really, really good. I'm surprised they just didn't keep it. But in terms of DTS 5.1 master audios, it was fine. It was definitely fine, and it didn't do a disservice to the film at all. So in terms of special features on here, there is a new special feature that's called Guilt and Betrayal, Looking into the Departed. And that is a 15, 16-minute long little featurette that is newly produced, and it basically is a look back at like the making of the film, and really just talking about little things that went into the movie and kind of the the aftermath of it. And it was great. It's a great little featurette. I thought it was entertaining enough. All the other special features on the 4K disc are carryovers from the older Blu-ray. One is about Whitey Bulger, the absolute monster of a guy that Jack Nicholson is based on. He was on the run from the FBI for I don't know how many years, probably, I think it was a couple decades actually. And just his story is just wild. So that's one to watch if you haven't seen it. Southie and the Departed Crossing Criminal Cultures, which is kind of about the areas in which the movie takes place and the real actual crime syndicates that happen in that area, that exist in that area, I should say. And there's also 9 additional deleted scenes that have introductions by Martin Scorsese. So as a whole, I mean, the special features are not bad. It's too bad they didn't really do like anything really heavy duty with the special features. That one additional featurette is a nice touch, but nothing really too crazy. You figure for a film that won Best Picture and won Martin Scorsese an Oscar, you figure it would be a little more intense in terms of special features, but for what it is, it's fine. And that's really my whole opinion on this release, is that it's a solid release. It's really nothing mind-blowingly spectacular, but it's not bad. It's good. It's a good release. I enjoyed the look of the film. The audio was fine, except for the dialogue being a little quiet, which I thought was odd. But as a whole, it's a good 4K release, and the movie is phenomenal. I enjoy watching this film, so it's definitely one that I'm going to keep in my collection for forever. And if you enjoy this movie, I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to pick it up on 4K. There's a link to Amazon. If you use that link, it does help me out on the channel. I'd say if you're a fan of this film and you really want to get it in 4K, it's worth picking up. But if you have the Blu-ray is really nothing to sneeze at. This is a marginal improvement across the board. It's a good improvement, but it's just not anything mind-blowingly spectacular. It's little things that add up to good improvements, but nothing groundbreaking. I wouldn't call it earth-shattering by any degree. If you're not familiar with my channel, I review physical media here, and 4K Blu-rays, movies, TV shows, you name it. I pretty much do it all here. So if you really want to help me out here on the channel, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below. and I wish you all the very best. Please stay safe and take it easy.